Now, if you've been following my Season 3 reviews for Attack on Titan, you know I've mentioned the fact that Attack on Titan is one of these series that doesn't get amazing because future arcs are just really well written. It's that the future arcs are really well written, but past arcs become more interesting and more thorough and more deep than you first gave them credit to. And once again, this is another episode that highlights something that's very minor in the first season, but actually had pretty big importance to Eren's character and his backstory, that being Keith, the man who trained Eren, who most people, myself included when I first read the source material, thought he would just be a one-and-done character. There would not be much to him. But as you see, Eren's faulty maneuver gear when he was training, when he was balancing on faulty gear that no one should be able to do, and everyone was impressed that he could even manage as long as he could on broken gear, that was done on purpose because of a man who was just envious of Eren's father and just wanted to try to show that he isn't special, but then failed because ultimately he was. There's just so much I love about this episode, and I think Isayama, as a writer, the mangaka for Attack on Titan, his strength is really backstories, I think. Well, one of his strengths is because a lot of times when you have an author who writes a chapter, or in this case, we have an episode where it is backstory focused, a lot of people, they tend to not like backstories and they just want to get to the main objective, the main plot, but these backstories are so crucial in fleshing out its world and characters, especially with Eren and his father and his backstory here, and I always find that the backstories are just as interesting as the fight mechanics or just the overall big explosions that will happen in arcs. And I absolutely love how Keith was portrayed, because you're seeing that Eren's father, he had no memory when people first found him, and I think that's such an interesting mechanic for Eren's father, because in this world where you have everyone living inside walls and there's these giant monsters behind it, imagine having a character who doesn't remember anything, and he's an adult and he's just seeing how this society is functioning and is actually pretty impressed by how they're able to enjoy life, drink, have families, despite being thrown into such a hell and apocalyptic world. I think that's actually interesting. Memory loss may not be the most original thing out there, but when you apply it to this situation, it actually becomes pretty interesting, because Grisha was a doctor and he had no memory, but he did remember his name and he did remember his craft, but he's just waking up in this world, no idea how he got outside those walls, and it becomes so interesting, especially as you're seeing how Keith and him kind of got to know one another, probably started off as friends and then clearly didn't become friends once he married Carla. And I really like how just the world reacted to Grisha, because he's this guy who started as essentially nothing, even though he was a great doctor, and you're seeing how everyone is just loving him, and then you have Keith who has these grand ambitions, very similar to Eren, where he wants to change the system. He wants to be commander. If he was commander, he would do everything so damn well, but he fails, because this is a world where if you're not special, you're going to fail if you try to do something too extreme. But at the end of the day, no one's really special or not special. Everyone is just equal in their own way, but they apply their crafts in different ways. And I like the idea of how we're expanding how Erwin got to be commander, how Eren's father translates to the story. There's so much substance going on in this episode, and I think in terms of actually fleshing out the backstory, seeing the moments before Eren's father injected Eren and turned him into a Titan and got eaten, there was actually someone there trying to just be special, trying to figure out what is it with you and your son, why is he special? Well, he's my son, he'll do something extraordinary. And Eren's a character who currently doesn't feel special, he just feels like he has something, an amazing power that was thrown onto him and he has to use it, but he doesn't feel special. And I think that's important for his character, because this is a guy, and it's mentioned in this episode, just over a few months, look at how much these characters have changed. They were just boys and girls training to be soldiers a few months back, and now look at where they're at. It's absolutely insane. Over a couple of years, there's just so much horror that they've experienced that it's almost aged them 30 years. And they're just doing their damnedest. And I love seeing just how Eren's character acted. When I first read this part in the manga, I never really got inside Eren's head of how he was personally sounding and feeling at this moment. But Eren's Japanese voice actor, he really sold this performance. You're seeing a very quiet, very timid, but not discouraged Eren, just someone who's experienced so much. He has all these new memories in his head, he doesn't know what the hell they are. His father injected him and turned him into a Titan. He still doesn't know anything truly about his family, where his father actually came from, why he lost his memory. He's witnessed so much death and carnage, he's made so many mistakes, but now he sees, I have an objective, I can actually fix things for once, I'm going to do it. But yeah, he's gonna be a little bummed out and maybe a little quiet as he's kind of contemplating all this new information that's in his head. One of his friends is now Queen of the Walls. Like, you're seeing so much in him, and I feel like this is the perfect way to sell that performance. A guy he's just kind of like in his own head trying to figure out what's going on. He's not discouraged, but he's not happy either. And I think the way the actor sold the performance was just absolutely incredible. One of the best performances for his character, I honestly think, because to sell this type of emotion, it's such a complex emotion. And he absolutely did wonderful. And of course, we are seeing Queen Historia, how she is reacting. She's very much a queen that people would want to follow, someone who's trying to help the orphans, who is just trying to do her damnedest. And you may think, well, is that the type of queen you need inside these walls where there's so much death and carnage? And I would say yes, because when you have so much death and hell around you, maybe you do need someone who can inspire positivity in your leadership and change the system for the better. Maybe not have the other sides of the military be so goddamn insane and corrupt. I think she's the perfect fit, and I really do like just having that quick moment of Mikasa pop up, being jealous. We haven't seen just some humorous moments in a while in Attack on Titan, so it's nice to have those classic Season 1 era days of comedy pop back up in the wake of so much death and carnage. It was a very, very nice surprise, but I really do like how they quickly show us, hey, they're building some new techs. Eren's starting to work on his hardening ability. It's seemingly going okay. He's obviously hurting his body in the process, but like he says, it doesn't matter. There's no time for rest. Let's make sure we master this so we can immediately save our people. The new weapon that they have where they just drop a giant piece of wood on the Titans who stick their head where Eren hardened up the hole. That's absolutely incredible, and hopefully they won't have to kill many more soldiers just to take out Titans, because essentially having soldiers fight Titans is sending them to their death more often than not. So if they can develop tech like they did here that allows him to fight from a distance and take out Titans like a 12 meter just that easily, that's just important. That's a major breakthrough that may get swept under the rug because of the Keith and the also Queen Historia moments, but that new tech is very important, and I love how they quickly brought that up, but also showing Eren's determination and how much he has changed as a character. He still gets sad, he still breaks down, he still has his moments of weakness, but he's very much determined. He's much different from where he was in the first season, the second season, even the very beginning of this season. There's so much that's happened to him in just a few days. When you actually look at how old Eren is as a character, the fact that he has been able to deal with so much emotional trauma, it's actually impressive that a kid his age can deal with all the shit that's been thrown at him and the weight of the world resting on his shoulders. He's gonna make mistakes for sure. He is still just a kid technically, and I love how his character has been evolving. This episode, for being backstory, is actually one of the strongest backstories. I actually enjoyed this episode more than the Kenny backstory, and I love Kenny's backstory and him as a character, but just seeing how Keith translates in the anime and how Eren has been responding to just so much emotional weight, how they were playing the ending song as they were showing those final moments as Eren as a baby with his mother. That was so heartwarming, and it's like everyone in this world is special and not special all at the same time, and I love how Attack on Titan isn't afraid to make you depressed, make you sad, but also invoke this inspirational hope that you can have a better tomorrow, that people can change the system. And I think these past arcs just keep getting better and better because we're seeing things. We're seeing how it actually translates. Characters who we thought were one-dimensional and just there to serve a point in the plot actually had a lot more importance than we first gave them credit to. This is an amazing season. This is an amazing series. The characters are extremely well written. You just gotta give them the time to shine like we got with this episode. Let me know whatever you're feeling of the episode or this season overall down in that comment section below. Be sure to like the video if you did enjoy, and also hit that subscribe button if you want to see more content from me in the future. But until next time, everyone, please take care and have a good one.